So, Marvel's Avengers is over. This month, on September 30th, the game will be taken off storefronts and lost to time. Except for the few strong soldiers like me, who dared to play this tragedy. And since the game has reached its end, I feel it's only right to give it one last lap around memory lane. So bear with me as I attempt to give Marvel's Avengers an unbiased review. It's gonna be very biased. I want to talk about a thing called video game sickness. Video game sickness is when you have an addiction to a really shitty video game. And for me, I had the Avengers sickness. As you can see, I have put an unreasonable amount of time in this game over multiple platforms. I even have the fucking platinum for it. And it's insane because I don't even love the game. But before I get into that, I should probably start from the beginning. Marvel's Avengers was announced back in 2017 by Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics, with a big cinematic trailer that didn't tell us anything, besides the fact that the Avengers were in it. And I bought into it because I'm a big Hulk lover, so if this game had the chance to give me the feeling of the old Hulk PS2 games, that would be all I need. The hours I spent fucking around in the Incredible Hulk PS2 game and Hulk Ultimate Destruction were a highlight of my young boy years. Anyways, it was 2 years of radio silence until we got another announcement around E3 2019, this time with gameplay. And honestly, I thought it looked alright. Hulk looked cool, so it was a thumbs up from me. But there was a small controversy surrounding the announcement. The issue the internet had was that the models of the characters looked like rip-offs of the MCU live-action movies. People going around saying Walmart Chris Evans, and they're calling Black Widow a man. I didn't give a fuck as long as the game played well and the story looked interesting, which it did. But then the presentation kept going. Then they revealed that this was going to be a game that was going to be updated with more heroes and missions and content and stories. And everybody had their
Avengers. But launch is only the beginning of this adventure.
We were getting live service Avengers. And on top of that, they announced Spider-Man as a PlayStation exclusive hero, which only made the audience more upset. But I held out hope, because I thought the gameplay looked good from what little we saw of it. Then the game got a delay, then another poorly received beta, and finally came out September 4th, 2020. And the game we got was, well, it was a game.
Holy look at all this damage!
No! The thing most people played was the story, or the campaign, which seemed like the most interesting part of the game. And it was, if you could find it. On the main menu screen, they put Play Now and Operations. So people would assume Play Now would mean, oh, I can start the game on the story mode. No! Play Now would throw you into the fucking multiplayer and spoil the whole campaign. So, if you didn't know about anything about the game, or I didn't have a friend to tell you what to do, you would get the whole campaign spoiled by clicking on what the game told you to click. Anyways, the campaign. If you are a Miss Marvel fan, you would have loved it. The game is centered around Kamala, or Miss Marvel, and how she single-handedly reassembles the Avengers. The only time the Avengers are at the beginning of the game and at the end. The game starts with an Avengers Expo or Comic-Con thing, where the San Francisco Bridge is blown up by Taskmaster. The new helicarrier they're showing off is told to be experimental and not ready, so guess what happens? It blows up. Captain America blows up, minimizing the explosion, saving the day. Then the Avengers break up. That is how we're introduced to the story. That whole Avengers catastrophe is known as A-Day, and the explosion causes an elemental disaster, turning people into inhumans with superpowers. Big Head MODOK takes this window of opportunity and creates AIM, a tech company that makes robots to replace superheroes, and, has this big ego and complex of the, big white savior dude. Miss Marvel uses Reddit and finds hidden footage of A-Day, showing MODOK, or Tarleton, as what they call him, his real name, locking Cap in the helicarrier. Kamala Khan then starts a journey, and she goes and finds Hulk, Iron Man, Black Widow, and Thor. And then they discover,
oh my god,
Captain America is still alive! Then they all reunite and beat up MODOK, and then the game ends. It's a simple story, it was alright, it hits all the beats it needs to hit for like an MCU, shovelware type movie. It was nice. I mean, I kind of, turned my brain off and was just beating the fuck out of little robot dudes. The voice cast alone has insane people behind it. It was surprising at first when I heard these voices, because I heard Nolan North as Iron Man. I kind of just heard his Deadpool voice. He wasn't really trying to be like an Iron Man. It was like his Deadpool voice if you just took it a notch lower.
Nolan! Hey, what's up, buddy? We're making a game about me. Gotta have you do the VO, man.
Been watching some of your old newsreels, kiddo.
Yeah, I'm older than you by multiple decades.
Were the red tights your idea or Uncle Sam's?
They had Troy Baker as Bruce Banner, he did a great job. Honestly, one of my favorite interpretations of the Hulk. And they got Laura Bailey as Black Widow, and she was fine. They added a bunch of DLC campaigns with Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and Black Panther voiced by Kratos. Spider-Man showed up eventually with one singular cutscene and then hours and hours of voice memos and then 2 characters exchanging boring dialogue. And for the price they're charging now, the campaigns are worth it alone. None of them are bad. They're alright. They don't do anything crazy and aren't too long. My personal favorite was the Black Panther DLC. Wakanda was just like a much better area than Random Gray Facility. Throughout the campaign, they just throw you to Random Gray Facility. Random Gray Facility. How about New York with a Random Gray Facility? The Forest, a Random Gray Facility. Alright, anyway, okay. I enjoyed my time with the campaign, but the issue is once you're done, you got the rest of the game to deal with.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
You get a wide variety of heroes to play as. You get Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Ms. Marvel at launch. Pretty dry roster, huh? Thankfully, they added Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Jane Foster, and Winter Soldier all down the line. I'm sure you've noticed that a few of those characters seem similar to each other. Yeah, the devs wanted to double dip when making these heroes, so they would reuse aspects of one character to make another. Kate Bishop came around first, and was surprisingly unique with different animations and abilities. But I can't say that for the others. Jane Foster is a carbon copy of Thor down to the animations and emotes, takedowns, everything. This means if you bought an emote or a takedown on Thor, you can buy the exact same emote again on Jane. You would think for an Avengers game, we'd get Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Vision. No. Instead, they just reused shit they already made and made characters from that, which I believe later down the line, they were supposed to be She-Hulk and War Machine. More copies. Look, I know I'm sounding very negative, but the combat in this game is where it turns into cocaine for me. And I don't know if it's the Marvel fan in me, but the way they design each and every one of these characters feels so good to play. The enemies you'll be fighting are different aim goons. They got adaptoids, big adaptoids, elemental adaptoids, and a couple of ranged little guys. Wakanda, I think, is the only place with different enemies, but if you want to fight those guys, be prepared for constant flashbangs and stuns. So many enemies in this game can stun you, it's really stupid that Hulk can get stun locked by a dude 5 feet shorter than him. But if you have a strong build, you can negate this, but it really sucks early game. I know I clowned on them for making 2 Thors, but Thor feels so good to play that I use Jane as an excuse just to play Thor again. I got her max level, max power, and I had a great fucking time. These characters shine once you unlock all of their skills. In the earlier stages, it can be a little rough for them having like 4 punches and kicks, and I can see people, dropping from that. As you progress, you're gonna run into the gear, which I'm gonna get into a little bit more later. But there's these status effects that come with the gear that some characters have built into their kits. Like for example, Hulk has Gamma, Thor has Cryo, Iron Man has Electric, and Black Panther has Vibranium, which stacks with whatever gear you have equipped. So you can turn Black Panther into a purple Vibranium machine, or have Hulk constantly surging with green farts. And the build crafting is for people who like seeing, wow, big numbers, wow! It's not necessary to play. As long as you are at power for whatever activity you're doing, it should be fine. The game really makes you feel like an Avenger. Hulk is a fucking tank with tons of armor and invulnerability, and Iron Man is a one-man army shooting missiles and lasers. Captain America is built like a brick shithouse, kicking his frisbees at people's necks. I simply cannot get enough. As I remind you again, love of God! If there is a hero in this game that any of you guys are interested in playing at all, I recommend giving it a try. Like, for example, the Black Panther DLC itself stands on its own as a mini single-player Black Panther game if you just want to play as him. This all sounds great, right? But look at the content they gave us to use this combat system in. It's clear that the game was built around this poorly made endgame, and I'm a sick bastard. So I played all these missions endlessly, so I can tell you guys it is not worth the time. There are a bunch of missions with varying difficulty that act as a ladder to climb until you reach maximum power level. These missions consist of drop zones, where they give you guys to punch and objectives to complete. Hives, where you climb 5 floors of doing the same objectives you're doing before. Villain sectors, which are just drop zones but with a boss. And then there's vaults, where you step on plates in the order it tells you to, and beat up waves of dudes. And this mission design is really bad. They are carbon copies of missions, with the same objectives and reused bosses. They use Taskmaster and Abomination almost exclusively. The objectives you get are the same for every mission type: beat up bad guys, beat up big guys, capture control points, defend dudes, punch turbines or power generators. Each area looks bland with your basic forest, desert, snowy place in New York. But it doesn't matter where you go, because almost every mission sends you to the same 3 gray facilities without fail. Every area is infected by the gross gray-yellow AIM facility disease that gets boring to look at each time you play. I will give them credit for adding more locations with the DLC. Like I said, Wakanda, then they added an apocalyptic Mad Max place with Hawkeye. Then there's Scandinavia, like a Thor Asgardian. It's not Asgardian, but, you know, Iceland place. Those places were cool. Unless you do the endgame activities like the raid, Omega level threats, or cloning labs, you will never see a boss other than Taskmaster and Abomination. Oh wait, they added a Maestro Hulk in the Hawkeye campaign, and then a Super Adaptoid in the Cake campaign. So you have those guys as well. The raid is the best piece of content in this game. When it works, it requires 4 players near max power level. I tried playing the raid when it came out, and we made it to the final boss, and the game crashed. This raid is not a short mission. It takes at least an hour to commit, and we were going at it for the first time, so we were probably on about 2-3 hours. And there are no checkpoints, and no re-inviting teammates if they crash or leave. So if anyone leaves, the run is dead. I had over 2 hours wasted, but that was just the launch.
I'm so tired, man.
They fixed all those issues later, but I never bothered to do it again. The encounters themselves were fun. It was nice having content in the game that made me think for once. A good comparison would be the raids in Destiny. The Claw final boss was cool, and I would love to recommend this to you guys, but holy fucking shit, just look at the guide to understand the mechanics. It's also one of those few pieces of content to make use of the build crafting. I'm sure there are people out there who can one-shot these bosses by now. And I bet you're wondering, build crafting? What are you talking about? What's that doing in an Avengers game? This is where my little gear rant comes in. So sorry guys, hold on to your seats.
Okay, throw me some numbers.
The gear system in this game just sucks, and not in the way that it doesn't work, but it is just completely unnecessary. There is already a skill level for each character, which gives you skill points on each level, allowing you to put those skill points into new skill trees for new abilities, which is already enough, in my opinion. The gear didn't do anything cosmetically, it was just another number to see go up. You play a mission at the end, and you equip whatever was the highest you get into the top. And once you reach the top, there was a small amount of build crafting with different status effects and perks. There was cryo, plasma, gamma, cosmic, pin particle, electric, vibranium, sonar, and webbing added with Spider-Man. I played around with all of them, and the ones that were most fun happened to be like pin particle and cosmic. It was fun seeing like tiny guys, and you could do it on bosses. Like you can make Taskmaster tiny and be Hulk and pick him up and throw him off a roof. Those were fun to do. The other ones, they were okay and seemed centered around specific heroes. Like Gamma was really only for Hulk and Webs were only for Spider-Man. The whole system felt pointless and was just to get players to sink more time than they needed to. The buffs on these gear pieces were just straight up damage buffs. Like they would just say damage buff or defense buff. Nothing was interesting. The only reason that the gear didn't have any cosmetic changes was because they had a big fucking arrow pointed at the marketplace. The marketplace was, as you guys can guess, a place to buy cosmetics like skins, emblems, emotes, takedowns, and whatever else you want to waste your money on. And the prices were ridiculous. The old classic $20 a skin that companies seem to still think is reasonable. If you buy skins at $20, you are the problem, I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of the fucking $20 a skin because you guys keep fucking buying. The majority of skins sucked when they came out, with like a couple that you would even find reasonable. But as the game went on, they got better and they finally let us use the movie skins and the comic outfits. The pricing was still ridiculous, but there were sales from time to time, which I want to admit, sorry, I would dabble in. I'd get like a cute Hulk skin for $5 or a Black Panther skin. If you're spending $20, would you want Endgame Cap or Poopy Thor? The choice is yours.
We interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
Hey guys, coming from the editing room here. They made all of the skins and, well, actually, they made everything in the marketplace free. So, yeah, you don't have to buy anything anymore. Everything I just said was pointless. They gave a few skins as part of the deluxe edition, one of them being World War II Cap, and oh man, was this skin broken. His face looked like you put him in a fucking microwave, or it looked like fucking Arnold from Total Recall. He was melting before your eyes, which you got the pleasure of seeing in cutscenes. This was just one of the few bugs this game had, and I've kept my silence on those for too long, so here we go on another fucking rant.
Hey, nah!
Avengers has so many problems it's not even fucking funny. Falling through the floor, invisible enemies, vendors not working, vendors never shutting up.
Seriously? You're the best. Seriously? You're the best.
Enemies falling through the floor, losing save data, frame rates plummeting, insane load times, crashes after crashes after crashes, and their attempts to fix these problems just introduce new ones. Bugs after bugs after bugs, bugs that you wouldn't even think of. There is a bug that stops counting your trophy progress on certain trophies, but you won't be able to tell. So you just have to keep doing that activity over and over and over and over and hope and pray to whatever god that it counts. When I was going for the platinum, I got 75% of my trophies before I even found out about this fucking bug. And so I looked it up, and I'm like, oh wow, what a coincidence. The ones I had left were the ones that were bugged. So being the masochist that I am, I said, oh well, I'm almost done. I'll just finish it out. I have to be close. The final trophy took me an extra 30 hours. This game was not made for the last generation PS4 and Xbox, because once the PS5 release came out, all these performance issues were fixed, along with the majority of bugs. Another delay would have been a game saver, or at least would have helped with the press surrounding the game, because when anyone hears Marvel's Avengers, they just think of the launch, or just how stupid Spider-Man looks when he swings.
This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Man, this makes me sad. I really apologize to you guys for ranting for most of this video. I tried to stay sane, but every time I think about the potential this game had, it makes me upset. I could talk for hours about the content in Marvel's Avengers, the false promises, the infamous roadmap that never came, all the heroes we never got. We were supposed to get a shitload more heroes with more consistent updates. I heard it was supposed to be monthly heroes, but that didn't happen at all. We were starved for content. The game launched in September 2020, Kate came out in October, Hawkeye came out March in 2021, Black Panther came out in August, which was the last of the real updates. From Black Panther forward, they said we weren't getting any more campaigns, and instead just hero drops with the same boring mission loop you've already done 100 times. Jane being a clone of Thor, Spider-Man being janky, Winter Soldier being a mix of Captain America and Black Widow didn't help morale. If you like Marvel, give this game a try. You can get it for under $10, and you can definitely get $10 of fun out of this. Anyways, I'm done ranting. The game is done. It's over. Maybe down the road, someone can do these Marvel characters right. Spider-Man 2 hype train, baby!